Tonight on Road Madness, drivers are derailed after crossing the line. Outraged truckies let loose on idiots.
You useless mother!
And unbelievable acts from road ragers. Everyday cameras around New Zealand and throughout the world capture mayhem as it happens on the roads. From minor incidents to serious smashes, innocent mistakes to reckless risk-taking, we reveal the appalling driving that can cost people their lives. Some of it is hard to believe, some of it is laughable, and some just plain crazy. Hi, I'm Ursula Carlson, and welcome to Road Madness. With more than 4.5 million vehicles on our roads, chaos is inevitable. And as more and more cars are being fitted out with cameras, we're capturing every critical moment. When it comes to terrible drivers, truckies have a front row seat. And to kick off our final episode, we're going to highlight some of these awful, awful drivers that these poor truckies have to deal with. We've said it once and we'll say it again. No one wants to be stuck behind a truck. Many will go to extremes to get in front. And often pay a hefty price. It's the same the world over. It's like there's a perception that because trucks are big, they're also slow. And so many motorists will take silly risks to get in front. Yep, that's the sound of the truck colliding with that car. In this clip, it's dark and continuous yellow lines divide the road, so extra caution must be taken. It also means the lights of oncoming cars stand out like sore thumbs, and yet...
But we're also hearing tonight that...
Luckily, there was enough room for the truckie to shift over and thereby avoiding a crash.
We're also hearing tonight that... gamblers don't go...
But that narrow escape doesn't mean they'll escape this truckie's judgment.
Suburbs.
Wait, understand 2-3.
Given these lunatics are putting everyone's lives at risk, you can understand why truckers get a little heated under the hood.
What the You useless mother! Foggy ass!
Whoa, easy, Tiger. I'm guessing this guy's seen a few lunatics in his time.
Oh, mate's thick as fog, and this decides to pass.
Okay, some may regard his reaction as a little OTT, but I tend to agree with him. Not only is vision restricted, but this lunatic had the audacity to pass with another truck coming the other way. 1 second later, and they'd have been roadkill.
There's some idiots around.
Now picture this. You're at an intersection. Traffic is heavy. The road ahead is blocked. It is your turn to pass through once a space appears. The light turns orange. What do? You wait for them to go green again, right? Not this twit. He's in so much of a hurry to get where he's going that there's no time for waiting. Much like this bunch of bozos who just keep coming, even when their light is fully red and ours is fully green. This blue car really pushes their luck with a last-minute dash for the gap, only to wind up slinking shamefully back to where they began. Embarrassing. And here's another group of goobers guilty of clogging up the system. The blue four-wheel driver has the right idea, waiting for the gap on the other side before entering. But the others behind him, no. What a pair of pillocks. And just in time for the green lights. Genius. A genius in the making, this next driver is not. Just look at how many lanes he's blocking with that van.
Where do you get your license from?
Good question, because it is in the road code, and if they do have a license, they would have read it. Simply put, do not block an intersection. It's a simple concept, yet so many people fail to grasp it. This also includes pedestrian crossings, which means it's a big fat fail for this fool. He's promptly joined by another car stopping halfway over the crossing. And this pedestrian has no problem expressing his dissatisfaction. Railway crossings are also covered by this rule. Both our car and the one in front thought they could push their luck and make it over this crossing, only to find themselves stranded in the middle. Luckily for our car, a service worker has created enough space behind them to get him out of harm's way. The car in front, however, seems to think there's plenty of clearance and refuses to budge. Bad decision. Just goes to show, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's a lesson that needs to be taught to this buffoon ahead, who's also planted themselves slap bang in the middle of the tracks. And with that van riding up his rear, he's got nowhere to go if an express comes through now. Not that flashing lights or barrier arms are going to deter a determined driver. These lights are flashing, barrier arms are coming down, and yet this undertaking taxi ignores them both. Must be one hell of a fare to take that risk. This next clip illustrates just how wary one needs to be around rail crossings. Yes, barrier arms and signals are there to warn motorists, but they shouldn't be relied upon. Good old driver awareness is the best defence, especially at uncontrolled railway crossings. Now here's a good idea. To stop cars from running through the crossing, ramps in the road rise up, blocking the way. Of course, there's still enough room for a bike to sneak through. And while they're at it, why not have a little fun? That's why not. It's time for a short break, but first, have a look at this spectacular clip and see if you can guess what happens next. We're travelling down the motorway. Sun is shining, sounds are pumping, and the car in front is changing lanes when out of nowhere appears a motorbike. Oh, that's easy. The motorbike crashes, you say. Well, it's not that simple. Join us after the break to find out exactly what happens. And we'll also bring you some of the luckiest people both on and off the road. And how would you like to win a dash camera to record your own mad moments on our roads? Well, keep watching, and at the end of the show, answer a very simple question and go in the draw to win one. Welcome back to Road Madness. Now, before the break, we showed you a clip and we asked, what happens next? Let's have a look and see if you were right. We're travelling down the motorway. Sun is shining, sounds are pumping, and the car in front is changing lanes when out of nowhere appears a motorbike and... What the hell? How on earth did he manage that? Now, that's almost too good to believe. I've got to see that again. That is one of the luckiest bikers I've ever seen. What an athlete. Every now and again we see an astonishing clip that makes you wonder, how on earth did they get away with that? Have a look at this next selection and see if you can figure them out. In this clip, two men are attempting to fix a truck when they suddenly find themselves scrambling for safety. Literally, the potential for tragedy here is enormous, and yet, despite the ice, this slippery subject manages to slither to safety. This one also has us stumped. Watch the lady cycling across the pedestrian crossing. How on earth did she get away with that? Had she been further across the road, it would have been a different story. Here, a delivery driver has just been informed he forgot to apply his handbrake. Most would simply jump in the cab, but this guy thinks he's Superman, or a human pancake. And how's this for going out with a bang? Before we play it, let's take a moment to examine the scene. We don't know why this vehicle's on fire, but it's caught the attention of locals. Note the woman and a young child to the left, gazing on in amazement from what they probably believe is a safe distance. It's not every day you get to witness a car on fire, nor watch a scene unfold like this. Did you see that? And no, I'm not talking about the explosion, but the panel that's launched into the air and misses this poor lady by less than a metre. Well, we all know that the choices we make in life shape our future. Interestingly enough, it also has the ability to shape our cars. The driver of the four-wheel drive ahead made a bad choice when they decided not to pay attention to the road. If they had, they would have seen this coming. Notice how the brake lights don't come on until the very last second. And somehow, I think the people mover received the worst of this rearrangement. Can you spot the problem here? Someone's made a bad choice. That's right, as the vehicle ahead moves to overtake a slow-moving truck, our truck blocks the way. Luckily, the U-driver had the sense to back up instead of risking his life by speeding up. Perhaps he can pass some of that sense onto this next muppet. The car ahead is in the right turning bay, but just as our truck arrives... Little sense is shown by the delivery truck driver ahead of us as well. Having waited in traffic for quite some time, patience has clearly run out as he makes what appears to be a conscious decision to turn the wrong way down a one-way street. Bad move, buddy, because your poor decision-making has just made national TV. And you also almost led another driver to disgrace. Luckily, they had more sense than you. Of course, it's not just bad decisions that can result in bad situations. Often, it's indecision that creates the most confusion. This driver in front can't decide if he wants to go left or right, nor does he seem to know how to use his indicator. Much the same for this driver. They appear to be turning right, but then at the last moment, without any indication whatsoever. I don't think this next guy knows where he's going either. We're travelling the right way down a 3-lane road in Wellington when our driver spots something in the distance.
What the f***? You're going the wrong way, you idiot.
But hey, at least he's committed. One thing's for sure, when drivers make dumb decisions, it isn't always intentional. Sometimes it's a true blue mistake. Meaning the rest of us have to compensate by driving defensively to avoid an accident. This motorcyclist, however, appears to be compensating for something else. We're not entirely sure what his problem is, but he's clearly taken exception to the driver of this car. But what we do know is before he passed us, he was riding up the rear of this car and tailgating our driver. Perhaps now he's inviting our driver to return the favour. You know, if he upped the tempo just a little bit, he'd qualify for this week's Mad Motorist. But instead, we decided to give the title to these crazy Russians. If you thought road rage was a problem in our country, then think again. Take a look at this lot. Ahead of us, a truck cuts in to avoid being hit by another truck. Sure, he shouldn't have risked passing in the first place. But the driver of this car takes extra exception to being cut off. And he sends his passenger to break the mirror. A little over the top, really. And naturally, it spurs a reaction these big boys probably weren't expecting. Seems these lads have bitten off more than they can chew. Here's another one. Ahead of us, an old man is taken to a car with a piece of wood after the young driver cut him off. They manage to disarm him and a dueling standoff ensues. With both parties in possession of weapons, this could get ugly. Until that is, a passerby turns up to keep the peace by bringing what appears to be a pistol to a plank fight. Not surprisingly, things simmer down pretty fast, but that's not always the case. Sometimes they simply escalate. Now, we don't know why this black car has decided to block our path. Maybe this car cut him off. Maybe they were rude. But whatever the reason, surely it doesn't justify this reaction. I can understand getting a little heated under the hood, but that doesn't mean you should go around capping cars. But if you thought that was bad, check out this American clip. This guy's exchanging a few heated words with someone behind our camera, when suddenly... Now, we don't know what motivated this, but thankfully both parties are lousy shots, meaning no one got hurt. You can, however, see by the ricochet on the road and cars that shots are being returned, so the potential for innocent people getting caught in the crossfire is high. Some people need to learn to let go. It's time for a short break, but first have a look at this clip and see if you can tell us what's the problem. A cyclist is travelling along the road when he comes across some roadworks and suddenly... So, apart from the obvious crash, what caused him to fall head over heels into that ditch? Join us after the break to find out. And we'll also bring you some of the wackiest wallies you'll find on four wheels. When we left you, we showed you a cyclist crashing and we asked, what's the problem? Let's find out, shall we? Here it is again. Watch very closely and see if you can spot the cause of this crash. So did you see it? It's hard to see, but at the bottom of the screen something pops in and out of shot. And as it hits the barrier, the cause becomes immediately obvious. Just goes to show, when it comes to cell phone use, cyclists are no exception. There are a few instances where the road rules are different for motorists and cyclists. One of those even surprised us. You may recognise this clip. It appeared in a previous episode where we questioned the cyclist's reasoning for hogging the road at this roundabout instead of keeping to the left and trying to stay alive. So, quite a few of New Zealand cyclists got their lycra panties in a knot after that clip. Because contrary to popular belief, assertively moving to the centre of the lane is in fact the correct way to proceed through the roundabout, all the way to the other side. So next time you think they're being inconsiderate, think again. Some spots on our roads tend to attract more accidents than others. Hot spots, we call them, where chances of crashing are considerably increased. This intersection in Auckland is the prime example. As we approach the end of this overpass, the van ahead turns into a side street on the wrong side of the road. Why? We're not too sure, but as we're about to discover, it's a common mistake to make in this spot. Same driver, different day, and this time we're coming from a different direction, placing us in the lane the van crossed into when suddenly... Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. But why did this driver drift into our lane in the first place? Well, as it turns out, she was following the directions of her GPS, and so when it told her to turn left, she turned left. This intersection on Auckland's North Shore is also a hot spot, this time for poor lane changing. Seems very few can choose which lane they're supposed to be in, causing multiple last-minute lane changes that tend to peeve people off. This next driver has its sus though. If you can't join them, simply go around them. Some might call that creative driving. Others would simply call it dodgy. Unlike this next batch of drivers who can't be described as anything but dodgy. In the past, we've given many reasons why you shouldn't use the shoulder to pass. Most of them involve crashes like this. But there are other valid reasons to steer clear of them. For instance, the surface does tend to be a little bit bumpy. Something many drivers discover firsthand. And if you haven't noticed already, most cars sit low to the ground, so if you take them off-road, there's a good chance you'll be left sitting high and dry. And even if you did own the right type of vehicle for the terrain, there's still a good chance you'll flip out. And then, of course, you just also never know when someone will suddenly make a turn. And when they do, you'll suddenly find yourself faced with inconveniently placed obstacles. Like barriers. Or even worse. Someone who's actually using it for what it was built for. We've seen a lot of mayhem on our roads. Much of it's been frightening, most of it preventable. So, as a driver, how can we avoid these kinds of things happening to us? Well, here are a few tips from someone who spent more time on the roads than we ever will.
It doesn't matter how good you are at driving, you can't predict everyone's movements. It's important to be safe, to be aware of what's going on around the car, and be aware there's other motorists that are going to make decisions that you're not going to be aware of, and you need to be prepared to make drastic change if a hazard appears in front of you. I constantly scan the road 2 to 3 car lengths ahead to deal with the hazards as they arise. Be very conscious of what's happening around the sides of the vehicle. Checking those blind spots by looking over your shoulder. Be safe and be conscious of what's going on around you.
That brings us to the end of this season of Road Madness. I hope you've learned as much as we have. Of course, there's one more chance for you to win your very own dash camera. And as per usual, just answer the following question correctly and go in the draw to win. Earlier, we showed you this clip where our truckie got a little bit annoyed following a dangerous overtaking manoeuvre.
What the You useless mother! Foggy ass!
Now here's the question. Why was that passing manoeuvre so dangerous? Was it A, due to foggy conditions, B, because of an oncoming vehicle, or C, all of the above? So if you know the answer, visit the website on screen now, make your selection. If it's correct, you're going to go in the draw to win. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, stay safe on the road.
You stupid!
Look, you moron! You skirt!
Where do you get your license from?
Foggy ass!
Yeah, pull over and I'll show you that.